Imagine a group of friends who promise to protect each other. That's a lot like NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO is a team of countries, mostly from Europe and North America. They came together in 1949. Their main goal is to keep each other safe. NATO believes in collective defense. This means if one member is attacked, it's like all of them are attacked. They promise to help each other out. This idea makes each country stronger together than they would be alone. NATO is all about peace and security. It wants to prevent wars and conflicts. They do this by working together and being ready to defend each other. After the devastation of World War II, the world was a tense place. The war had left many countries in ruins, economies shattered, and millions of people displaced. The fear of another conflict loomed large. One big worry was the Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin. The Soviet Union had emerged as a superpower and was rapidly expanding its influence. Stalin wanted to spread his communist ideas and control over more countries. This expansionist policy was seen as a direct threat to the democratic nations of the West. Western European nations felt threatened. They had just survived a brutal war and were now facing the possibility of falling under Soviet control. They needed a way to protect themselves. They realized that standing alone, they were vulnerable, but together they could form a strong defense. The United States, though not physically near Europe, also saw the danger. The US had emerged from the war as a global leader and felt a responsibility to help maintain peace. They knew that if Europe fell under communist control, it would be a threat to their own security and freedom. The spread of communism was seen as a global threat that needed to be contained. So in 1949, 12 nations came together to sign the North Atlantic Treaty in Washington, D.C. This treaty was a mutual defense pact, meaning an attack on one would be considered an attack on all. This was the birth of NATO. The alliance was designed to provide collective security against the Soviet threat and to promote democratic values. The founding members were Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the United Kingdom, and the United States. These nations pledged to stand together against any form of aggression, ensuring peace and stability in the region. Over the years, NATO has grown, adapting to new challenges and expanding its membership. Today, it remains a cornerstone of international security and cooperation. The alliance continues to play a crucial role in maintaining peace and stability around the world, proving that unity and cooperation can overcome even the greatest of threats. In the beginning, NATO was mainly about deterring the Soviet Union and its allies, known as the Warsaw Pact. The fear of a large-scale war in Europe was very real. NATO's goal was to prevent this by showing strength and unity. During these early years, NATO built up its military forces. They conducted exercises and worked on plans to defend against a potential attack. They also focused on political coordination, trying to find peaceful solutions to international problems. The world held its breath as the Cold War intensified. NATO's existence became a symbol of the West's determination to stand firm against communism. The Cold War was a time of high tension between the West, led by the United States, and the East, led by the Soviet Union. This period, spanning from the end of World War II to the early 1990s, was marked by a fierce rivalry. It was a battle of ideologies, with democracy and capitalism on one side, represented by the United States and its allies, and communism on the other, championed by the Soviet Union and its satellite states. The world was essentially divided into two camps. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, became a key part of the West's strategy to contain communism. Formed in 1949, it was a military alliance that included the United States, Canada, and several Western European nations. The alliance's military might serve as a deterrent, showcasing a united front against any potential Soviet aggression. NATO's presence was a constant reminder to the Soviet Union of the West's readiness to defend its principles. This made the Soviet Union think twice about any aggressive moves. The balance of power was delicate, and both sides were acutely aware of the devastating consequences of a direct conflict. While there were no direct military confrontations between NATO and the Warsaw Pact, the Eastern Bloc's answer to NATO, the world witnessed numerous proxy wars and crises. The Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the Cuban Missile Crisis were all dangerous moments in the Cold War. These conflicts, though not direct battles between NATO and the Soviet Union, were fueled by the overarching East-West rivalry. Each of these proxy wars had significant global implications, drawing in numerous countries and leading to widespread devastation. The Cuban Missile Crisis in particular brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. NATO's role in keeping the peace during these tense times was crucial. Through diplomacy, military readiness, and strategic alliances, NATO helped to prevent the Cold War from escalating into a full-blown global conflict. The alliance's efforts were instrumental in maintaining a fragile peace and ultimately contributing to the eventual end of the Cold War. Section 5. The Berlin Wall, a symbol of division. In 1961, the communist government of East Germany built a wall dividing the city of Berlin. This wall was not just a physical barrier, but also a symbolic one, representing the ideological divide between the communist East and the democratic West. The construction of the Berlin Wall was a desperate measure by the East German government to prevent its citizens from fleeing to the West, where they sought freedom and better opportunities. The Berlin Wall became a powerful symbol of the Cold War, separating families and friends, East from West, and communism from democracy. It stretched for over 100 miles, fortified with guard towers, barbed wire, and armed soldiers, ready to prevent any attempts to cross. The wall was a daily reminder of the harsh realities of the Cold War, where two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, stood in stark opposition. For NATO, the Berlin Wall was a stark reminder of the threat posed by the Soviet Union. It underscored the need for a strong and united front against the spread of communism. The presence of the wall in Berlin, a city deep within East German territory, highlighted the precarious position of West Berlin and the importance of NATO's commitment to its defense. It also highlighted the importance of the alliance's commitment to protecting West Berlin, which was surrounded by East German territory. West Berlin became a symbol of freedom and resilience, standing firm against the pressures and threats from the East. The city's survival depended heavily on the support and solidarity of NATO allies. The Berlin Wall stood for 28 years, a concrete symbol of oppression and division. It was a daily reality for the people of Berlin who lived under the shadow of its presence. The wall was covered in graffiti, a testament to the resistance and defiance of those who longed for freedom and reunification. Its fall in 1989 marked a turning point in history, signaling the beginning of the end of the Cold War. The joyous scenes of people celebrating the wall's collapse were broadcast around the world, symbolizing hope, unity, and the triumph of the human spirit over division and oppression. The fall of the Berlin Wall paved the way for the reunification of Germany and the eventual dissolution of the Soviet Union. Section 6. The Fall of the Wall and a New Era for NATO. When the Berlin Wall came down in 1989, it was a moment of celebration around the world. The Cold War was coming to an end, and with it, the threat of a major war in Europe seemed to vanish. But for NATO, it also raised questions about its future role. With the Soviet Union gone, what purpose did the alliance serve? Some argued that NATO had achieved its purpose and should be disbanded. Others believed that the alliance was still needed, but its mission should evolve to meet new challenges. Section 7. NATO's expanding role from collective defense to global security. In the years after the Cold War, NATO underwent a significant transformation. It shifted its focus from collective defense to a broader concept of global security. The alliance expanded its membership to include former Warsaw Pact countries like Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic. This move was seen as a way to promote stability in Europe and extend the benefits of democracy and security to former communist nations. NATO also became involved in peacekeeping operations in the Balkans and Afghanistan. It began to address new threats such as terrorism, cyber attacks, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Section 8. NATO, today, 32. Nations strong and growing. Today, NATO has 32 member countries spanning North America and most of Europe. Its commitment to collective defense remains as strong as ever. In recent years, NATO has been particularly focused on the threat posed by Russia, especially after its annexation of Crimea in 2014 and its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The alliance has also been working to strengthen its partnerships with countries around the world, recognizing that global challenges require global solutions. Aspiring members such as Ukraine and Georgia are actively seeking entry, further demonstrating NATO's enduring relevance. Section 9. Conclusion. NATO's enduring importance in a changing world. From its origins in the ashes of World War II to its current role as a guarantor of peace and security, NATO has been a constant presence on the world stage for over 7 decades. While the challenges facing the alliance have evolved over time, its core values of collective defense, democracy and freedom remain as relevant as ever. As the world grapples with new threats and uncertainties, NATO's role in promoting international cooperation and security will continue to be of paramount importance. Its ability to adapt and evolve will be crucial to its success in the years to come.